And the other is Marty McCauley. What on earth are you doing?
Justin, it's Halloween. There's a blue moon in the sky. This is not going to happen very often. Now, also, I spent the last 3 nights scaring the bejesus out of people around the Macklemore estate. Now, I'll give you a clue. I'm Frankenstein's monster, or as he's better known, he's actually called Adam in the books, or in the book, I should say. And my wee partner, with Dr. Frankenstein, we come up with the idea of making Adam, Frankenstein's monster, from Belfast. Okay, so tonight there was a kid walking around who was a bit anxious, a wee bit scared. But I waved at him and I said, "Are you okay?" And he was okay. and then Dr. Frankenstein said, "I've used all the best body parts that I could find in Belfast." And I went, "What about you?" And the wee boy started crying. So I took from that he's more afraid of somebody from Belfast than he would be of an undead monster sewn together by a mad scientist.
So we've got 2 fantastic guests tonight, Marty. We've got Dr. David Hume and Rob Curley. And we're going to be talking to 2 of them tonight.
We are going to yes.
Yes, but we're going to do the news first. So Rob's standing by for us there in Ballymena, and David's standing by us for us in Ballycarry. Gentlemen, say hello to everybody watching on the World Wide Web.
Good evening.
Hello. Good evening. Happy Halloween, everyone.
Happy Halloween, guys.
So you stay there for us, and we're going to do the news headlines. We'll be back with you guys in about 15 minutes and half an hour, respectively. So stay there for us. So Marty, what are these news headlines tonight for us?
Now, this week in whiskey, Diageo have announced that they have opened the Glenkinchie distillery, again reopened, 2 days ago on the 29th of October. Now, they've opened totally new visitor experience. We'll get to that in a little minute. But this is part of a £185 million tourism experience across all of the Diageo Scotch whisky brands. Now, the experiences, the new visitor experiences, include a flavour experience, a flowers and cocktail class, a whiskey in the wild, and a warehouse and cask tour. Now, to give you an idea, Diageo distilleries in Scotland include Ardú, Colilla, Talisker, Agavullen, Learathal, Dalwhinnie, Royal Lochnagar, Mortlach, etc., etc. Now, Barbara Smith, the managing director for Diageo in Scotland, said, "The opening of the wonderful new visitor experience and garden at Glenkinchie is the first step in a £185 million investment in whisky tourism in Scotland. We are acutely aware of the difficult times many people are going through, particularly our colleagues in the tourism and hospitality sector. We know there's a long way to go and a lot of uncertainty ahead. Still, we believe in the resilience of our business and our communities, and we will be doing all we can through our investment to sow the seeds of recovery and future growth." Now, part of this is 4 of the Diageo-owned distilleries, Glenkinchie, Cardhu, Colilla and Clynelish, will form part of the Johnnie Walker experience and represent the 4 corners of Scotland. Now, as we've talked about before, Johnnie Walker is the biggest selling Scotch in the world by a considerable margin. This to me just shows the commitment and the confidence that a company the size of Diageo has in coming back. This year has been a total write-off, but the fact that they are continuing with this mean, £185 million, shows that they have the confidence that it's all going to bounce back. Now, the Johnny Walker experience is 4 distilleries that goes into the blend of Johnny Walker. To me, this is very welcome news. I mean, the likes of myself and yourself, Justin, we work in the tourism industry, and the fact that they're saying that this is going to bounce back it cheered me no end. It also comes on the back of this week that Bushmills announced some voluntary redundancies. Now,
it's not good.
That's not good
at all.
Voluntary redundancies are not compulsory, but I think Bushmills, Jose Cuervo announced record profits this week as well. I don't want to dwell too much on this, but I think Bushmills, don't be too hasty. Don't be too hasty, you know. But we live in hope. We live in hope.
Okay, what else has been happening this week then?
Now, Cheshire Police have reported that 3 lorry loads of whiskey was stolen from a distribution centre in Birchwood in Cheshire. The heist at XBO Logistics involved the theft of 3 HGVs and a large quantity of alcohol. It happened at 6:30 a.m. on October the 21st, Wednesday. All 3 HGVs and 1 trailer were located a few hours later at an industrial estate in Middleton. Anyone with any information is advised to contact Cheshire Police quoting the incident number IML 832823, or they can contact me via direct DM me or Justin.
Don't be doing that. We don't want roped into it.
I'm only being a law-abiding citizen. I don't know what you're reading into this, but 3 HGVs full of whiskey have been stolen just before Christmas. So I've quoted the incident number, and so anyone with any information, feel free to contact me, or on second thought, maybe the police. So we'll move on. Now, this week saw the launch of Beausaw Straight Bourbon Whiskey. Now,
is this it? It is. There it is there.
Small batch bourbon. This is a release of bourbon from a Belfast company. Kirker and Greer, who we've mentioned before, and if you're ever in Belfast, going down beside St Anne's Cathedral, you'll see the old Kirker and Greer building. The Beausaw Straight is made in a North Kentucky distillery. We're not giving away where it's made. From 75% corn, 21% rye, and 4% barley. Matured for 3 years. Now, Kirker and Greer are part of the Drinksology Group, and they are an independent bottler and blender. Now, as I say, they're based in Belfast, but I like this. I've said before, I'm not a massive bourbon fan, but the fact that a Belfast company is bringing a bourbon to the UK market, to me, I like this because it shows that it's not just Irish whiskies that it's focusing on. Hopefully, there's going to be more international brands. We talked last week to Michael Bloom about the American market and the American whiskies, and the fact that there's now starting to be different whiskies and whiskey tastes made with different grains, etc., etc. We like this. We like this. More of this kind of thing. It's nice that a Belfast company is upping the ante, if you like. So yeah, I like this. I thought this was a nice piece of news.
I mean, how does that differ from the other things that we've seen, like the big boys? I mean, well, is this available in Ireland? Is it?
Yeah, you can. They even putting this. They've even Drinksology is a pretty big company.
We seem to have lost Marty tonight. The internet seems to have forsaken us. Marty will be logging back in, and coming back on at the very minute. Marty, can you hear us?
I can, Justin.
You've just come back into the shot. I think the internet's under pressure tonight with everybody at home for Halloween this time of the year. So where were you? You were telling us about Bosaw being from Drinksology.
Yeah, Drinksology. I said that Drinksology are they're a big company, but they're in some ways taking on the big boys because the American whiskies, you know, your Jim Beams, your Maker's Mark, these are the traditional sort of bourbons, and for a Belfast company to start bringing over their bourbon, yeah, I'm impressed by this. I think it shows ambition.
And we've got one final story tonight, at least, don't we?
We've got two more, Justin. Two more.
Two more, yeah. Kirker and Greer, the Shamrock whiskey.
That's your Kirker and Greer symbol from many moons ago. So, I mean, this is a reinvented company that's come back. Now, we pretty much always feature an environmental story, and this week's no different. An innovative company called Celtic Renewables has launched a crowdfund to raise investment for its tech to convert unwanted low-value biological material into high-value renewable chemicals and sustainable biofuels and other commercially and environmentally valuable commodities. Using the leftovers or draft or pot ale from distilleries. Now, Professor Martin Tangney, OBE, the founder, hopes to re-establish acetone, butyl and ethanol fermentation process, and bring it on a global scale. Now, the money raised from the crowdfund will go to building Scotland's first biorefinery, and it will produce 1 million litres of sustainable biochemicals annually from 50,000 tonnes of organic waste. Now, the professor has signed deals with distilleries such as Tullibardine to process their waste products. Now, on the crowdfund page, Crowdcube, £2.1 million has been raised so far for a target of 1.75 million. Now, over 1,000 people have invested, but there's 26 days still left to invest. Now, this company has won awards from Shell, the Royal Chemistry Society, Green Energy, Biotech, Scottish Enterprise, Low Carbon Championship in 2014. So they're going to take waste products that sometimes were made into animal feed, and they're actually going to turn it into a fuel and other chemicals that go towards the cosmetic industry, etc., etc. Now, this is good news. These are chemicals that we use in everyday life, and basically from a waste product, he's going to take the waste from the whiskey distilleries and turn it into something useful, something low carbon, etc., etc. What's not to like about this, you know? And it's nice that so many people are getting behind it, you know? Now, this is the last story, but I have a couple of little things at the end as well. This week, Dingle Distillery, our friends down in Dingle, have launched its Descendant Cask Ownership Programme. 100 casks are up for sale to individuals, groups, business, etc. And each cask will be filled with spirit, and buyers will have the choice of bourbon, port, Oloroso, or Pedro Jimenez. These will be first fill casks, matured for a minimum of 8 years in Dingle. And that all comes as part of the price. For your money, you'll get your cask, you'll get annual samplings, a bottle of the annual single malt release delivered to your door, access to the distillery, 15% discount in store. Your cask is yours, so you'll get to keep it at the end. You'll get access to Graham, the master distiller down there, for advice. And in 2028, the descendants will be invited to the distillery for a gathering. Now, the kind of hard part of the whole thing, Justin, prices start at €10,000. Now that's for a 190-litre bourbon cask.
Wow, that is
Yeah.
not. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not that expensive when you think about it, because after your 8 years, you would have 308 bottles, and that's bottling at 46.5%. And that works out at €32 a bottle, €32.50 a bottle. Now that's not including taxes, etc., etc. So you have to be careful of that as well. But this is there's a payment program that you can avail of, and it's on a first come first serve basis. So, yeah, if people would like to avail themselves of that, go on to the Dingle website, and well, we've talked about Dingle, we've talked all about it. And Dingle's an already established distillery. They have lots of fans already. So you're buying into a reputable mark. And I know €10,000 seems an awful lot of money, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not really. It's not really, you know. Now, I just want to say about a couple of other Halloween bottlings. Woo, Justin. Now, these are both Americans, but I kind of like this. From the Southern Tier Distillery, they're bringing out a pumpkin whiskey. Now, it's flavoured with natural pumpkin spice, which I don't know.
It sounds gross, Marty. And that just sounds gross. What do you think, folks at home? Let us know what you think. Pumpkin spice. I mean, they do a winter spice Twix now, and it tastes like nothing.
Well, we're not used to eating pumpkin. That's the problem, Justin. But a lot of Americans, pumpkin pie is
utterly... Oh, no, I eat it, and I love pumpkin soup. I quite like it. I don't have a problem with it, but I don't think it's a thing that would work well with whiskey.
Well, I'm not a big fan of flavoured whiskies, not those honeyed ones anyway. But
well, I am. You know I am. You know I like cocktails.
Yes, I know. The more cocktaily, the better. I think that's what you like. But no, we'll give that a try. I like trying new things, and I wouldn't write it off. But then there's the Still Austin Distillery, and they've brought out the Monster Mash, single barrel, matured for 26 months, and bottled at 53% ABV. So I thought I would give those a bit of a mention. That is this week's news.
So we've decided to bring a previous guest back again, and we're going to show you why tonight. He's starting by for us. What do you see this stuff? Right, this is a cocktail. Now I like cocktails, and this is a cocktail. And the man that's made this cocktail himself is waiting patiently for us, and he's just about to join us live from Ballymena. Here he is. It's the guy from the Scream.
Happy Halloween, everyone.
Right. So reveal yourself. What culinary delights have you come up with as for Halloween, Robert?
Yes, a couple of dishes for Halloween that we've done, just like that one for our Halloween night. We were supposed to have a supper club last night, but had to be cancelled due to the restrictions. So we did a takeaway for everybody that come and do a takeaway of the Halloween night supper club. So we did. The first drink was a blood bag. So here it is, a blood bag. It's raspberry vodka, homemade raspberry vodka, with hedgerow fruits. So blackberries, raspberries, late strawberries, blueberries, frotons, blueberries, wild blueberries, and the Sexton whiskey. Shrub. So there's a bit of a raspberry vinegar in it as well that I made as well to make it a shrub. So to make it look like blood, and served in a blood bag, so you drink it from the bag. It's really, really tasty.
Oh,
just to get going. No, just the new like cocktails.
That's absolutely.
So it's got your 5 main, or one of your 5 main ingredients: vodka and whiskey.
I tell you what, that looks fantastic. What do you make of that, Marty?
Justin, I love the presentation, and I love the fact there's whiskey in it. I would love to try it, but I know that your grubby wee mitts would be in on it as quick as could be. Because I don't forget the Dulce incident. The last time Chef Rob was on, just come sneaking in, and just see it coming out of shot with my last bit of Dulce.
I was all gone. He had it all gone.
Aye.
And then it was like Flash.
It just on screen you just see his wee hand coming in. He was like, cousin and the Addams family.
I tried to get
like some
more.
He was in with his hands like that.
I tried to get some more, but it didn't come off tonight, Marty. I was trying to get some Dulce, but it looks like the postman's got it again. Because we were talking about this, about things coming late, and somebody only got one of the tastings from a couple of months ago during the week, didn't they?
A guy sent me a photo to tell me that he'd finally got the W.D. O'Connell. That's what, 3 weeks ago?
Easily. Now, what have you got for us next, Rob, then? What was the next dish you came up with?
The next dish was the starter dish. So it was a monkfish. So it was impaled monkfish with monkey nut sauce, crispy rice maggots, and a pickled pumpkin and black sesame salad. So it's like a monkfish kebab with the monkey nut sauce, so like peanut satay sauce, and then you sprinkled on your crispy rice maggots and pieces of monkey nuts as well, and served with my friend John. John the Clown.
What did the punters make of that? Because that's a pretty creepy dish to eat, to put it past your lips.
It's the crispy rice maggots are a good little thing. It's just adds little crunch, and it's just like eating a kebab with satay sauce. So it's just a take on that, and with a little pickled pumpkin salad at the side, just for the crunch and all that. So, but it's really tasty, but scary looking, but tasty.
Did that
you wouldn't be getting that in the local takeaway.
Did that Jammy Marty get to have one of these takeaways? Did he?
No.
He got his hand on one or two things.
I went round to see Rob Monday to deliver around a couple of the whiskies. So the Sexton and the next one that he's going to use the Smokehead.
Smokehead, yeah.
I got a wee nibble, Justin. I never told you this, but a little nibble.
How did I guess? Now let me see. What did you do next then with the smokehouse then?
So the next course we did was the main course, and so the main course was venison. So we used lovely, beautiful venison, like the loin of venison, and just marinated it in Smokehead Islay whiskey, and then pan fried it off and served it with a venison shoulder eye pie with beetroot blood sauce and a mole. Mole is like a pumpkin seed mole. So it's like a 25 ingredient sauce originating from Mexico that has chocolate in it and nuts and seeds. And I've put the Smokehead into it as well to add a smokiness to it. So it was really, really tasty dish, but fairly gruesome. But you have to have that,
I mean, Marty, I don't know about you.
Venison eyes in the pie.
I don't know about you, Marty, but that looks as good as something Heston Blumenthal would put up.
Listen, Justin, I've said this umpteen times about Rob. Everything he does, I've tasted lots of stuff that Rob has done, and I'd put him up there with any chef, including Heston Dingamy Bobber, any of them. Now, I'm interested in this mole sauce. I've never heard of this, Rob. You say it's 25 ingredients.
Yeah, it's a Mexican celebration sauce. So you usually have it for celebrations for like the Day of the Dead and
Justin's birthday,
different festivals and all that people would make it because it's so expensive to make and so laborious and long and to make that there's so many, like 25 ingredients in it with lots of different chilies. Like there's 6 different types of chilies into it.
I like a bit. Like a bit of jelly.
And there's chocolate, really good chocolate in it as well. And
Nice.
it's so intense and so flavoursome. Just goes really well with the venison.
Yeah, I always find venison, you need something punchy to go with venison. Because it's beautiful. But
it's very lean meat. There's no fat in it, so you need something to enrich it.
Yeah.
So, and it's really, really good.
Beautiful.
And then the beetroot blood, then just the earthy flavors of the beetroot just cut through it as well. That just add to it. Yeah. And then you have the nice crispy venison eye pie, with the soft textured braised meat inside, and then crunchy eyeball on top.
hideous looking. People say people are saying fantastic things. Now,
and then you have the snake that is because of smokehead. And the smokehead whiskey, I was using that to flavor, to marinate the venison and to put into the mole. So you got a little smokehead and like a little snake head on the side of the plate as well, just for decoration.
I do have to say, that smokehead Isla, it's pretty good. It's pretty good now.
It's good. It had flavors and notes of chocolate in it.
Yeah.
So I really like that. Just it adds a little bit more into the mole sauce.
Yeah.
Really, really good. And add just a little smokiness to the venison as well when you're marinating it. It was good, nice whiskey. Really, not too peaty, not too peaty in the smoke. And then just the background of chocolate in it.
Yeah, and it's got a nice balance to it. I bought it. I bought it basically for Halloween. I mean, obviously the sexton, if anybody doesn't know, the sexton is the guy who guards the graveyard. David Hume will be interested in that. And I picked the smokehead because, well, the branding on it, that's Halloween all over it. So that was essentially why I picked the two. But the sherry cask sexton is really quite sweet. So and we've talked about it before. It's very good. And I kind of thought maybe the smokehead would be a little bit gimmicky, but it's not. It's a decent Irish single malt.
It's good. It's not as strong as Lafrogue.
No, it's different.
At all, but it does carry a punch, and it's a good little smoky number for the venison dish. Really good.
Yeah. So I thought there's certainly flavours that you can work with. There's plenty of flavour there to them. So yeah.
What did you do for the dessert then, Robert?
For dessert, we had a pre-dessert. So in Ballymena and. There's a lot of good butchers around, and even all over the whole land of Northern Ireland. There's lots of great butchers. So I made, or the butcher boy made some bloody burger brain mince. And they're 100% gory grind. So they're like little burgers. Yes, that's them. They came in a little package like that with the burgers all wrapped up, and it's like a burger, and it's really, really tasty.
Whoa, that is. Oh!
I got those. You done get.
I didn't even get the seaweed this week. Didn't even get the seaweed. I'm on the red wine tonight. That's why I'm all red in the face. I've got the blood on the go. It's red wine really.
So you're like it's take on the great grave diggers. They were digging up the bodies for the experiments in Edinburgh and all that. So they're using the brain, bloody brain.
The bloody brain.
Very nice.
Awful. Looks awful. Looks absolutely terrible. I think I'll stick to the cheap turkey from Harryville. It'll be a lot nicer. Don't you think so? So listen, what did you do finally then? Because let me guess, Marty got a sample of this, no doubt.
Oh, Marty got the bloody brain burger.
I got the bloody brain.
Did he get the lollipop foot thing? Did he get it?
No, he got the bloody brain burger. There, little tester during the week. Then the dessert was It was called Freaky Foot and Toe Jam.
Right.
So it was a foot covered in white chocolate and filled with a blackberry mousse with edible gory toenails made from almonds. And then you had the toe jam. So the toe jam was served in a little mini syringe with blackberry puree. And then you just squirted that all over the toes and just eating it. So it's a take on the Freaky Foot ice cream that you got when you were younger out of the fridge freezers and all that, buying them in the shop. But I've brought it to a different level. But it's really, really tasty. Using the autumnal flavors of the Bramley apple, or Bramleys, or sorry, blackberries, and a little bit of apple, and then the white chocolate and almond. So, but really, really gruesome, very, very gruesome, but tasty.
Yeah.
How do you come up with these incredible ideas? How do you do that?
Halloween would be one of my favorite times of year for just making up new dishes and coming up with different things. It can come from anything, from getting a smell or remembering things from my childhood, or seeing something, or just things come in the middle of the night or whatever, crazy ideas, and then I have to try and replicate it or do it or whatever. But ultimately, it's all about the flavor. So if it doesn't taste good, it's no good. It has to have the flavors. Yeah. So ultimately, but you can have fun at Halloween time. I love doing it at Halloween. It's really, really good. Really good.
It's just a shame that with all the restrictions that are going on and stuff, that the people who go to the supper clubs, I just couldn't get last night, because I know it would have been an absolute classic night. I'm one of your biggest fans. I've been to supper club nights. I love everything you do. I love your ethos. I love your innovativeness. I love your innovation, or whatever way you might put it. I rave about you, and I thank you so much for doing that and showing us your skill again.
Oh, you're very welcome. You're very welcome. Yeah, no, it's great, and thanks for letting us use the whiskies. It really, really added to it as well. The whiskies, and the Sexton was a beautiful whiskey that I paired that with the cocktail, the Blood Bag, because it had notes of vanilla as well. That vanilla goes with the autumnal red hedgerow fruits and all that, So it's really good. And then the smokehouse, the smokiness to go with the venison was excellent, really good. But yeah, we had a full supper club booked out in like 4 days when I put it up, and then like 4 days, or was it 3 days later, we had we went into lockdown, the restrictions, had to call it all off. So we just gave the options to the customers that if they wanted to do it as a takeaway, and pretty much everybody went for a takeaway, so it was good. So they still got to have the Halloween dishes, but as takeaway, so it was good.
Yeah,
it was good. But hopefully next year we'll do another big one. Halloween is always excellent. Last year at Halloween we had a scary story by Frank McCook from Slamish Market Garden, the head gardener for us. He came in dressed as a monk and said a ghost story about the killer bees in Craybilly. And it was very, very scary, but very, very funny as well. And Frank's a real storyteller. He's a real channicky. But it was brilliant.
Yeah,
it's really good.
Some people are saying fantastic things about your dishes. There's Julie Mason saying those dishes are great, truly gross and creepy looking. Some people are laughing. Mark's laughing at the crispy rice. I'd like to try the crispy rice myself. Mark's saying he would love the Bambi as well. He likes venison. I like venison too. And he likes the smokehead. Definitely the Bambi dish was his favorite. People saying hello to everybody as well. And the guys in Canada saying hello as well. Hello to you. Good evening as well. So we'll hope the Slamish Market Supper Club gets gets an outing before Christmas. Then we certainly do.
Yeah, we hope so. We hope so. We hope in maybe the next couple of weeks, if we can, the restrictions lift, that we can do another supper club. So I hope in the next supper club, it's a bit of an exclusive. We're going to try and do a tapas night. So a local tapas night using the fantastic produce that we have, and make a tapas night maybe. And then we'll have Christmas time. So Christmas time is a good menu. So it's all the flavors of Christmas without turkey and ham. No turkey and ham, I'm afraid not.
I remember you getting
all the people in Ballymena, no turkey and ham.
Yeah. Last year there was a trip with Facebook where you're no turkey and ham.
Yeah. That's the staff. The staff do. We do after Christmas for all the hospitality staff of County Antrim and beyond, that we do like a night, because no hospitality staff gets a Christmas do because they were so busy at Christmas time. So we hold a hospitality night in January, and we call it No More Fucking Turkey. So, because everybody's sick of turkey.
Facebook will be killing us. Facebook will be killing us with profanity.
They banned me from it last year. They wouldn't share it on me.
It's unbelievable. They probably thought you were
a really good night. So it gets all the different businesses. So we had businesses from Rathlin Island, Ballycastle, Belfast, Mahara, Mackerfelt, all over County Down, Bushmills and all that came, from pubs to hotels to restaurants, everywhere that came for that night. So it was a really good night.
Yeah.
So we're hoping restrictions can be lifted and people can have more confidence to come out and enjoy good food and in a safe way. It's all done really safe. That we do, and all the restaurants and hotels are very, very safe. With all the restrictions in place for people just to have a bit of a normal life at the moment, and that's what everybody needs, is just a bit of normality, of just having nice food, a nice drink or whatever, and just trying a little bit of normal, in these crazy times.
Yeah, it'd be nice to try and get back to a bit of normal now. Definitely would.
Yeah, excellent stuff. So we've another guest waiting tonight to get through to Marty. This is getting like the Rand Turbiddy show, or what should be the Late Late Show, but isn't, because it's no good. So we'll have to wait. We're waiting for Dr. David Hume. He's waiting in the wings. So we'll say bye-bye to you. And Dr. David Hume has just appeared to your left. Bye-bye, Rob. And say hello to Dr. David Hume. Good evening, Dr. David Hume. How are you tonight?
Evening. Hi, Jason. How are you, Justin?
I'm not too bad. So you have this new book out that Marty wanted to introduce to us, and you literally just got a copy in your hand yourself.
Yes, it just arrived during the week. Always an anxious time when you have a book that you're waiting for, and particularly at the present time, of course, when it's all a bit up in the air about bookshops and so on. Thankfully, they're still open. So book has arrived. It's Tides of Time. It's called A Coastal History of East Antrim. So looking at the coastal history of the area from Carrickfergus right up to Carnlough and everywhere in between, really.
Would there be any smuggling in this, David?
There's a wee bit of smuggling in it. Smuggling isn't the major thing in it, but it does mention about the smuggling. And Island McGee particularly was an area that was well known for smuggling in the past.
Never.
Yes. So plenty of smugglers' caves there, and a lot of activity that would have gone on until about the 1820s. Certainly the late 1820s is about one of the last recorded incidents of a smuggler vessel being seized by the revenue men.
Yeah.
Quite a story. Yeah.
Now, the revenue men is one thing, David, but it's the resurrection men that we want to talk about tonight.
Yes.
For anyone who doesn't know David, I'll just give a little introduction. David does a BBC radio show called The Long and the Short of It, where him and a man called Tim McGarry, if you know Tim McGarry, there's lots of people from all over the world listening to this show, so I have to explain this. And they take an item of history and they debate it from two different angles, and it's very good fun. It's fairly light-hearted and humorous, but very informative, and they always try and compete. For anyone who's not sure, Tim McGarry's quite a tall gentleman, and David's not. That's probably a good way of putting it. Last year, David did a BBC radio broadcast on the Resurrection Men, the Bodysnatchers, and he focused a little bit on Burke Hare. And I'll let David explain a little bit more, because Burke Hare weren't actually body snatchers. They were a bit more innovative than that.
Yeah, well, Burke Hare, very interesting that they come in the same period, of course. And the Bodysnatchers was all about the need for bodies for medical research, for the medical institutions, of course. So the Resurrection Men, or the Bodysnatchers, would have looked around for news of people who had died, that have then tried to exhume those bodies from coffins in the cemeteries, and ship them across, in our case, from County Antrim across to Edinburgh, which was the nearest school, particularly Robert Knox's school in Edinburgh. So that was just a very bizarre and amazing story in its own right, very macabre industry that grew up. And then Burke Hare come along, and they take the thing a little bit further. They raise the bar quite a bit, because yes, they cut out the middleman, and it starts off with an old gentleman who is a lodger in Hare's tenement in Edinburgh, and he becomes ill and dies. He owes Hare money for the rent, so Hare decides to try and recoup this money, and he and Burke have got together at this stage, and they decide to sell the old man's body to the medical school, to help to cover the rent and obviously make some money for themselves. The average price at that time for body was about £10, which would have been quite a bit of money in those times, in the 1820s. So that was how it all started, and then it sort of took legs of its own from that point. They decided that there was other people around that might have been not too well, and they might hasten their departure and get some money as a result of this. So in total, there were about estimated to be 16 murders were committed by Burke Hare. They were serial killers, and they were finally brought to book, or certainly Burke was brought to justice once a lady called Mary Docherty was the last victim. She was in the tenement too. She was renting a room in the tenement. It wasn't the sort of place to go and rent a room, by all accounts, particularly if you weren't feeling too well. It wouldn't go down too well for you. But another couple who were there were friendly with her, and they thought they heard her screaming as they were going out of the tenement. When they came back, they looked for her and couldn't be found. Burke Hare professed that they had no idea where she was, but they did search the house, and this other couple found this lady, her body at any rate, under the bed in one of the rooms. So they then decided to go and go to the authorities about this. Burke Hare very quickly took the body from the tenement, and the way that they had done before, they went to the medical school and they sold her. But of course, the authorities were then onto them, and the medical school was inspected. The lady's body was found, and that brought the two of them into jail effectively. Probably nothing would have happened. It would have been very difficult to sustain a case over Burke Hare, because all the evidence was gone, and in most cases they had suffocated people, so there's very little evidence of how people had met their deaths in any case. But it was only through the encouragement of one of them to turn evidence against the other that the case was actually brought. And Thomas Hare, who is sometimes portrayed as the less intelligent of the two, I think that's a bit of a misdemeanor, because he decided to turn evidence against Burke, and Burke ended up being hanged. And you've got a photograph of at the moment of Burke's skeleton in Edinburgh in the medical school. So he was hanged, and as was the case at the time, if someone was hanged for murder or very serious crime, then their body was handed over for medical research. And that's how the whole situation had started in the beginning, because there weren't enough bodies from serious crime going to the medical schools, and therefore there was a demand grew, and that's how the whole industry grew. And Burke and Hare just took that to, I think Robert talked about taking his cookery there to a different level. So they took their activities to a different level as well in Edinburgh.
So they ended up victims of their own success, basically, didn't they?
Oh, the irony.
Well, they did. And Hare himself, in the programme, I was able to trace Hare, because he sort of disappears from history. He is released, and he's last really heard of in Dumfries when a crowd become aware that he's in Dumfries, and he's almost lynched and has to escape and be escorted out of the town and so on. So he sort of disappears from history, but he doesn't disappear other than that he crosses the channel again. And he was originally from County Down, so he comes across into County Down, into the area around Loch Brickland. He's not well received there. He and his wife and child are there at that stage. And there appears to have been some division then between the wife and Hare. Eventually, Hare ends up living on his own in Kilkeel. And a couple of people in Kilkeel told me how the older generations used to try and scare children. If they wanted them to come back into the house at a certain time, they would tell them that if they stayed out too long, Hare would get them. And this was Thomas Hare, who was living down near the harbour at Kilkeel when he came back again. He died in the workhouse in Kilkeel, and he was buried in a pauper's grave as well. So ironically, he ended up in an unmarked grave. And Burke ended up he's still in the museum or in the medical museum in Edinburgh. A skeleton is at any rate.
Do we know what whiskey was used in this? Do you reckon it makes a difference with whiskey the people were pickled in when the bodies were removed back to Scotland?
Well, that's another story. I mean, the story about full-bodied whiskey is supposed to come out of this whole period. I mean, whiskey or alcohol generally was used probably as far back as medieval times to preserve bodies or to slow down decay effectively. Lord Nelson was famously put into a cask of I think it was brandy he was put into, but rum would have been more usually used in the Navy. And Colonel Edward Pakenham, who was the officer associated with the Battle of New Orleans, he ended up being shipped back across the Atlantic in a barrel of rum in order to preserve him. And I've come across a grave at Cairn Castle where a person there had died in India and appeared to be buried at Cairn Castle. So something must have happened along the same lines in terms of trying to preserve the bodies. It's more likely that barrels were used just to contain these cadavers or bodies as they were being shipped or attempted to be shipped across to Scotland. And I have to say that probably you're dealing here with the east coast of Ulster, so a lot of Ulster Scots around. And as far as putting dead bodies and sending them across to Edinburgh, they probably thought it would be a waste of the whiskey to do that with the whiskey. So there aren't too many accounts of seizure of barrels or trunks, but there are a few, and they do not mention anything liquid like whiskey being used. Just people being put into these barrels, and it's reckoned that up to 6 people could be crammed into a barrel because, of course, it didn't matter if you broke their legs or arms or so on; they were just crammed in and then attempted to ship across. So that's the story about the whiskey, Justin.
So where can people get their hands on your book then?
Well, my book will be in a number of venues. It'll be in the Book Nook in Larne, the Rinka in Island Magee, Beatty's in Ballycarry, and the Gobbins Cafe Shop or the Gobbins Centre in Island Magee, and also the Secret Bookshop in Carrickfergus as well. And there might be a few other bookshops adding to that. But if people go onto my website, The Own Boy Hume, if they send me a wee message, I can advise them of where the book is available, and it can be ordered online through me as well too if they're not near any of those. I know I think that Ballycarry and Magee are sort of the centre of the universe, but if you're not near those areas and you want it posted out, we can arrange that.
Okay, wonderful stuff. Marnie, have you any more questions for Dr. David Hume, MBE?
I always have plenty of questions for David because he is a fabulous historian, and he always makes things interesting. And whenever he discovered Hare's grave, I mean, he discovered this, and I think he's sort of making he's sort of passing the fact that he found out that that's where Hare was buried. And And I mean, this is a famous story, certainly told in Edinburgh tours all the time. It's a world famous story. And David uncovered where Hare was buried. I just want to thank him for coming on the show. He did it at very short notice, and thank you very much.
Well, thank you both very much for having me on the show. It's been a pleasure.
No problem, David. I'll be in touch about having you on the radio because I'm doing the People's Parliament this week on the radio. So I'll talk to you when we get into November proper. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Justin, and happy Halloween to everybody.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. Happy Halloween. Now, Marty, where were we?
I don't know, Justin. After all that body snatching and imagine sticking 6 people into one whiskey barrel.
That's pretty rough stuff. Pretty rough stuff. This is what people are saying about this. Julie's saying, really enjoyed hearing that history. Yes, it'll be new to you, but it's not new to us. The computer just did something on its own there. I don't exactly know what it did, but it did something on its own. There you go. Michael Matthews is saying that would be a first film cast then with the bodies with the broken arms in it. Patrick Connor's asking, where did you get that costume from?
I was given it at the Macramore estate. Whenever I even scared a dog yesterday. I even scared a wee dog. I thought I was going to get bit, so I was hiding in a bush, hiding in this bush, and I jumped out, and the wee dog leapt in the air and ran behind its owner, which I thought I was scared I was going to get bit, but it was good. It was very good fun, hilariously funny.
It is the Macramore estate. We can show what it looks like here. This is what it actually looks like. It's a very beautiful place. It was the McGowell Hogs. We should have kept Dr. David Hume with us, but we'd had another show about the McGowell Hogs original residence, and then it's been an old people's home, a hotel, an old people's home. It's the headquarters of Forever Living Products as well. But it's now a luxury wedding venue, and you can stay there if you're have an event on or you have a wedding on there as well. So, Marty, we've got about 8 minutes left tonight. What have we missed out apart from saying people are saying £60 a barrel then for the barrel? That was a cheap transportation.
This was in the at the beginning of the 19th century. Yeah, £60 would have been a considerable amount of money. If you ever get a chance to go to Edinburgh, there's a bar called the Burke Hare Bar, and it's actually a strip club in Edinburgh, down near the Grassmarket. But there's actually 3 strip clubs just hold it round. And that is known locally.
I wouldn't know what you're talking about, Marty. I wouldn't know what you're talking about at all.
But locally, it's known as the Pubic Triangle. So that's 3 strip clubs. That's quite funny. But no, the Burke Hare. If you ever get a chance, go and see. You can go and see Burke's bones. They're in the Surgeons Hall.
Give us a quick recap. What were these whiskies tonight that you actually used here in these things? Because we didn't go into them in detail. And it is a whiskey show after all. That's the sexton. And they're the guys that used to guard the graveyard. And we actually had armed ones here at graveyards because they used to have to lock the bodies up so the body snatchers couldn't take them.
Well, what the body snatchers used to do was a fresh corpse put in the ground. They would dig basically a bit at the head. They didn't dig up the entire grave. What they did was they dug round at the top of the grave, put 2 metal hooks in, and broke the coffin open, and then put rope in round, basically like a noose, and just pulled the body out. And then once they put it all back, they cover themselves up. Now, the interesting thing about the body snatchers was you couldn't be prosecuted for stealing the body. But they had to strip the body naked because you could be prosecuted for stealing the clothes, which seems very bizarre, but it was a bit of a quirk of the law. But so that was the sexton. Then we had Smokehead, Islay, single malt. I'm not exactly sure where this is from. It's from Islay, but I'm not sure what distillery it is. I haven't tasted enough of it because I haven't really taken a huge amount out. But it's very nice. It's very nice. Well worth having a go at. Yeah.
Smoky ones seem to be back in. A lot of people were asking you questions about smoky ones on the YouTube page. Remember, folks, to go to Irish Whiskey Review on YouTube and add us there. Subscribe, hit the bell. It doesn't cost anything. It's free. Just be logged in when you click the button, and you'll find out whenever Marty puts up anything new. Black Pits. This sounds a bit dubious too, Marty. Do elaborate.
That's it's an Irish peated from the Teeling Whiskey Company. So I reviewed that this week on the YouTube channel. I'm a bit indifferent to it, if I'm totally honest. It's not the best that Teelings do by a margin, but well worth trying. If you like peated whiskies, give it a whirl, see what you think. But I wasn't blown away by it, to be honest.
I wonder what everybody's been doing for Halloween. Has Halloween been adversely affected where you are in the world? Do tell us. Always type in the comments here. We can put them on screen. We've got about 5 minutes left tonight. If you want to say anything to us, make sure you do. Remember, on Facebook as well, you can comment, like, and share, and hit follow us on there, and you'll see when anything new comes up. There's been people all over the world watching tonight. An awful lot of people. I've tried to put all your mentions on screen as well. People like Dale McDonald saying Happy Hallows Eve. It's actually Halloween already here. It is Halloween already here. It's Old Hallows Eve. It's Halloween, isn't that right? Is that the day before Halloween, Marty, or is that tomorrow?
Yeah. All Hallows it's All Saints Day tomorrow.
That's
so
right.
This is Halloween is the day before. Yeah, Halloween actually comes from Ireland. The whole idea, the whole concept of Halloween comes from Ireland, and it went across to the US from here. And it's sort of funny because it went all the way from Ireland to America. And like the good people of the US normally do, they get things and they just shake them to death. They make them much bigger and bigger events and celebrate harder and put more effort and money, etc., into it. So then it's all sort of come back now. I mean, up in Derry/Londonderry/Maiden City, whatever you want to call it. I mean, they've voted as one of the best Halloweens in the world.
I must admit, I've been in Vegas for Halloween, and they do like to shake things to death there. Isn't that true? Yeah, very true. Love anything pumpkin. There you go, says Julie. Now, that was some week. A double-headed guest this week. What are you thinking of doing for next week?
I haven't a clue, just we've got a guest next week. I have a clue. We've got a special guest next week. We've got a man who, well, he teaches whiskey. He teaches, he taught me the very first course I ever did on whiskey. So I was talking to him during the week, and he's there's nothing that he doesn't know about whiskey.
Okay.
Nothing.
So we'll maybe have to ask him about this Renaissance and smoky whiskies, because there's a William McLennan saying he tried the peated this week, the Dunville, and he liked it. And actually, Mark saying he got the 18-year-old Teeling Renaissance and he liked it.
Yes, the Teeling Renaissance, the 18-year-old Teeling Renaissance is exceptionally good. The Black Pit, it's not their best offering, but to be fair, it's a peated whiskey distilled in Dublin, and it's slightly that it's different than lots of other ones. Just not for me. It's my taste. I'm not overly keen on it. If I'm honest, 3 Crowns peated that William was talking about there, the peated from Dunville's, I'm not a huge fan of that, to be honest. I think it's out of the premium stuff that the Dunville brand does. For me, it's not my favourite. It's not my favourite. It's probably my least favourite out of them. But I tried. There's a review of their Paolo Cortado single cask offering coming up next week. Just a forewarn. It's top drawer. Awesome. So you can look forward to that, guys.
We will do. We'll leave it there, Marty, because the internet's threatening to let us down tonight. You're going pixely. It's like you're on the dark side of the moon tonight. Maybe you are. Happy Halloween, Marty. Happy Halloween to all of yours as well. Stay safe, everyone.
Take care, everybody. Stay safe.